All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Sue Scott, and I am a volunteer with Edina Indivisible, and I'm the moderator for this Zoom event. We're live streaming this event on our Edina Indivisible Facebook page, as well as recording it for later viewing. Welcome to tonight's Meet the Candidates series, hosted by Edina Indivisible, where neighbors and friends can meet candidates for insightful conversation. Tonight, we're hosting two candidates for Edina City Council, Janet Kitui, who's joining us now at the first shift at 6:30, and Ukasha DeCane, who will join us at 7 o'clock. This is the second night that we have offered interviews with candidates for City Council. Last week, we talked with Carolyn Jackson and James Pierce, and you can find that recording on our Edina Indivisible Facebook page. Next Wednesday, we'll be hosting Joshua Alberg at 6:30, and we're working to schedule night for the remaining candidates, so stay tuned for information on that. We're going to start with our prepared questions. All the candidates, we've asked of all the candidates. Feel free to add your questions in the chat if you're on Zoom, or add your questions if you happen to be watching on Facebook Live, and we'll try to work them in. If we don't get to them here, we'll share both Janet and Akasha's website and email at the end of the conversation so you can follow up with them directly. So just a reminder that Edina Indivisible is a grassroots group committed to encouraging civic engagement in our community and holding our representatives accountable in passing progressive and inclusive policies on a local and national level. So thanks to our viewers for joining us, and thank you, Janet, for talking with us tonight. So let's get started. So welcome, Janet. Can you give us just a brief statement about why you decided to run for City Council?
Thank you for the opportunity, Edina Indivisible, for hosting this and inviting me to share with you why I ran. As you are aware, I did run in 2018, so this is my second attempt again, and I hope to be successful this time. I ran, I have lived here for 9 years. The reason I moved into Edina is because of the great Edina public schools, and my 3 children all attended Edina public schools. I moved here for the great public schools. My children have all attended Edina public schools, and I have been engaged at the city level for several years now. I have served as president for PTO at Southview Middle School, and I do currently serve on the Housing Task Force. I'm engaged on the Business Energy Working Group, and I'm also on the Communications Feedback Group. In addition to that, I also contributed as a member of our community on the Race and Equity Task Force. I have both private and public experience. I do currently work for the state of Minnesota. So when if I am fortunate to be sitting on council, I do bring that with me, the experience of being a government employee. And because of that, I do understand the protocol of operating within the confines of the law. I ran because representation matters. It does matter in that it informs the issues at hand, and through that, we are able to come up with innovative solutions and lasting innovations and lasting solutions to our problem. So that is essentially why I am running and asking for your vote to be your next council member. So thank you.
Thank you. We're fortunate to have a field of strong candidates that have diverse backgrounds. Of your background as you've described to us, what qualities do you bring that you think would that make you the strongest candidate in this field?
What makes me the strongest candidate is I have worked both in private sector. I have been a small business owner, and I currently work as a government employee. So with that, from that perspective, I truly understand the importance of operating within the law, being held accountable, and transparent. And those are things that I believe our council or constituency are looking for in their council member, to present or future council member.
As you look at the current city council, what would you describe as things that you think the council is currently doing well, and what are some areas where they could do better?
I have had a very cordial relationship with the council, and I believe there are things they are currently doing well. But the one thing I truly think could be enhanced, and that's what I hope I will be able to bring forward, is the communication and using data to communicate projects as they come down through the pipeline, or even collecting data and sharing, for instance, in our community as a public safety issue. What is the data? What is happening in our community? Being able to be transparent about that and the process of that, it will be very valuable. I do serve on the communications feedback group, and I believe that has come as a direct result of the effort of the council trying to communicate with the constituency. I happen to live on the southwest corridor of Edina. That's around the Southdale area. And it has occurred to me that the Better Together yard signs, I see them on the other side of town, but I've never seen them this side. So I thought, well, how does the other side of town get to know and be aware of these website, Better Together Edina? So I contacted the city and asked, how do you decide where to place these yard signs and where not? Well, I did learn it is placed where projects are coming up. Here all along, I've always believed that is a communication tool for all citizens to visit that website and learn what is happening at City Hall. So knowing that, I'm like, we still have work to do. There are certain sections of our town that are not being touched, and I think we could improve on that. So,
okay. Great to know. Certainly, an important job of a city council member is to kind of stay engaged with the community and keep their finger on the pulse of what are the important issues for your constituents. How do you see yourself going about that?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Sure. I think that one of the important roles and probably one of the big challenges of being a city council member is how do you stay engaged with the community? How do you make sure that you're hearing and seeing that the issues that are important to your constituents you're aware of what those are?
I have been attending city council meetings when I did try it for the last 2 years. I've been trying to engage. And so I have listened to the city council, the communication coming through emails or the city staff contacting them, but also getting out in the community. I know that they do hold some spring forums to be able to engage with the community. I believe one section of town that I still believe has not had that opportunity is the southwest part of Edina as well, which is the Southdale area. I actually mentioned it. Have we had that community see all the council assemble and talk to them? I know they are hard pressed, so my hope is, if I sit on council, is to be able to say we need to serve all four corners of our community, on the west side, on the east side, in all four sections, the way it's divided by Highway 162, that we are getting to hear their voices, whether they are homeowners or renters. They are equally important to the success and strength of our community, and their voice needs to be heard and their views listened to. They just need to be heard. That is key.
Great. What is your perspective on both the the importance of and the challenges of diversity in Edina?
Like most communities, both here and our surrounding community, diversity and inclusion is definitely a challenge. So it's not unique to Edina. We probably have it a little more acute in that not all of us are included in city council decisions. And that's probably why I ran to say, whether I am a homeowner here or I'm a renter, I still need to be able to hear, to know that my city council is serving all of us. So there is diversity both in social, cultural, and education level. All those things will only enrich our community. So how do we impress on our citizens to be able to be engaged? So that is definitely something I'm very passionate about. Mm-hmm. I have read the Race and Equity Task Force, and it is an important report. But even when I read our vision statement for our city, it does count on inclusive and diversity as one of the important aspects to be actively following on. So I definitely will be championing that, and I only see that we only get richer and we all do better with diverse views and solutions to our problem. So that's why I think it is good that it has been coded into our vision statement for the city of Edina.
I think one of the diversity challenges that our community faces is socioeconomic diversity, and one of the keys to that is housing and the challenges of bringing more affordable housing to Edina. A challenging problem. Thoughts about how you might tackle that as a city council member, or thoughts about how we should approach that issue as a community?
Definitely, that is a complex issue. And as I mentioned, I am currently serving on the housing task force, and affordable housing is part of that discussion. And there are various solutions that are being discussed, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but definitely affordable housing is a very important issue, and I do actually mention that on my platform, and I will continue to fight for it on the basis that affordable housing will only help us because our teachers, our firemen, our police officers ought to be able to find affordable housing with the income that they make in our community. And if they are able to live in proximity with where we work, we only are going to do better, all of us. So I am going to be looking at it. The City Council definitely has tools that it can use to encourage developers in terms of building affordable housing. We currently do have an inclusive policy. I believe it doesn't go far enough. And why do I say that? I truly think developers should be required to honor the 20% or 10% units in the multi-housing projects that come on board, that they should be required to. Those who are paying out of it is essentially telling me they are in for profit margin, as they should be. However, we are never going to reach that goal of meeting our share of affordable housing regionally. And the affordable housing affects our economic viability as well. That is just a fact. And I believe Brookings Institute has a report on the impact of affordable housing, lack of it, or not having enough of it, its effect on the economic growth of a city. So I am fully aware of how crucial that is. Today at Caribou Coffee, I'm just having a casual conversation with the barista there. She tells me how she is struggling to find affordable housing in our community. So if Caribou Coffee can't employ her because she can't live here, she chooses to go elsewhere, well, I'm not going to be able to have my coffee. So I'm definitely advocating for her to see we need to think of them in that preserve naturally occurring apartments. If we can, I think the city should have the first right of refusal if that ever comes on, to be able to say, we would like to preserve this. How can we incentivize you to sell it to us before you go to the private market and sell it to whoever? So that is a thought I have. I would like to be able to discuss more, because affordable housing is truly a passion of mine. Yes.
And it sounds like coffee is a passion of yours as well.
Yes, it is. Yes.
I'm with you on that. Kind of the larger question of development.
Yes.
There has been lots of conversation and some controversy around various development projects in the city, the vast majority of which are not focused on providing affordable housing. It tends to be pretty high-end housing, maximizing the profits of the developers. Thoughts about the challenges that face the city council in terms of managing growth and development in ways that fit with the kind of the fit with what our community is.
Yes, Edina is a fast-growing suburb, and we are in the redevelopment phase. And with that, it becomes a delicate balancing act. We need to create options for both businesses and people who locate in Edina and experience our community. I want to be able to encourage developers to come in here, but the one thing I understand is we currently have been flexible in trying to, currently, when we say we, is the current council being able to give out or rezone or variances for zoning. So that kind of creates unfairness, is what I would like to say. If one developer gets to get out of a certain zoning regulation, and then another one, I am holding them to that regulation, well, the playing field is not leveled for all of them. One who follows the zoning rules will be looking at the others like, why aren't we all being allowed to do the same thing, understand what the rules are in the playing field, and be held to that foundation, regardless of who I know on council, who I don't know. So I do understand the challenge, and I will work to be able to level the playing field, especially in the zoning and regulations, so we can balance that out. And definitely accommodating affordable housing is important, and in that I have to support redevelopment. We are aged, most of our housing stock is 50+ years old, so there is need to bring that up to code and efficiency. So as a direct result of that, I will be working on that delicate part, but still remain to hold the zoning regulations for all the developers who come into town. So.
One last question before we give you a chance just to make a closing statement. On both the state and national level, we've seen elected leaders that have a lot of trouble getting along and have a difficult time cooperating and finding compromise on important issues. How would you describe your leadership style, and how you would see yourself working with other city council members, some of whom might not agree with your position on a particular policy? How How do you work with people that disagree with you?
I definitely will work to persuade them to see where I'm coming from, but then I also will respectively respect their positions. As a council member, I understand each one of us has one vote for each one of us. So, but if I can explain my position, why am I taking one over the other, I will respect theirs just in the same way they have come and explained why they take a position. I'll be sure to work within the policy rules. That is the job of a public servant. So I'll be respectful and be objective in order to be successful in this role. And it is so important to communicate respectfully, even as we disagree on our opinions on issues. But more important is to be transparent with my fellow council member as to why I'm coming, where I'm coming from, and what I'm saying, because that's what is expected from our constituency, is for us to be respectful and treat each other with fairness.
Right. To share with our viewers and listeners the best way to get in touch with you if they have follow-up questions.
If they have follow-up questions, I do have a contact form on my website, and my website address is www.janet4edina.com. And my email.
Janet, I'm going to repeat that just because we lost you a little bit. So it's Janet, the number 4, Edina?
Correct. .com.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my email is janet@janet, the number 4, edina.com.
Okay, great. You have a Facebook page as well, correct?
I do, and it's Janet Kitui 2020.
Okay.
City Council 2020, Edina City Council 2020. Yes.
Okay. Great. Janet, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for running. It's important to have smart, talented people get involved in city government, and we appreciate that.
Right.
I'm gonna close off this segment with just a couple of things in terms of events that are coming up with Edina Indivisible. We have a number of ways for people to get involved, from get out the vote for this election season, bridge brigades, texting and phone banks for state and national level CFL candidates, and writing postcards to voters. To get involved in any of these events, send us an email at edinaindivisible@gmail.com. And just a couple of reminders, so please make sure you've made a plan to vote, whether that's going to be by absentee ballot, early in-person voting, or on election day. And if you haven't done so already, please be sure you fill out your census form. Great. Janet, thank you very much, and thanks again for running.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. So thank you.